A lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to be related to China. Sorry if that's not everybody's interest, but I think a lot of what Tim said earlier about the cultural understandings you'll resonate with. So thank you very much, Shona and Tim, for the opportunity. Now, a bit about me in a minute. Frank.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great, thank you. Okay, so what happened there? Observations, for those of you who could see. Sorry? How I greeted him, yes.
And respect?
Yes. What did I do when I took the card?
2 hands.
2 hands, beauty. Anything else?
Considered it for some time.
I studied it very carefully, yes. So that's showing respect. And we both had a card, which is very important. I mean, it would be terrible to turn up to a meeting and someone gives you a card and you haven't got one. So get your business cards in order. What should be on a business card? No matter where you're doing business, what should be on it? Your name. Now, if you're doing business in Israel or Chile or in China, what else would you consider?
The language.
The language. Excellent, excellent. So you'd want to translate it, wouldn't you? And the typical style of a business card in the China space is, one side you've got the English and the other side the same thing in the Chinese. What is also quite important on a business card, aside from the name, your name and the company name, anything else?
Title.
Title, excellent, excellent. So, and if you're in the China space, your title needs to be relatively senior, I think, and it needs to be couched in the right Chinese language. So, Chinese people want to know they're dealing with someone who has equivalent power. Okay, so getting the language and the title right is really important. So, thank you very much, Frank, for being my guinea pig. So, 26 years ago, maybe when that picture was taken, I was like all of you in the room. I was a startup or an entrepreneur, and those words didn't even exist back then, startup or entrepreneur. They were the dark ages. You think about it. Some of you aren't even 26 years old, but 26 years ago, when I was one of the founders of Qin Communications, we had no internet. We had just starting to get mobile phones. Chinese, can you believe it was handwritten? There was no typing of Chinese back then. So we started up a Chinese language business, right? People would say to us, oh, what are you doing that for? Who's interested in China? So we sort of thought, well, it looks like things are starting to move in China in 1992. It could be, a good opportunity. We started out in the training space. People were interested in starting to learn language and so forth. And then we've grown into doing all these things now, and even in the Chinese marketing area. So what people said to us back then, if we'd believed them and said, oh, okay, we'll just give up, 26 years on, we're quite a successful and well-known business in Australia. We're doing a lot of really great work, but if we'd given up back then as a startup and said, it's all too difficult, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I think it's important to follow your passion and go for it. Okay. So a few things about China. The other point was, what else is important as well as a business card in the China space? Any ideas?
Nowadays?
Nowadays?
WeChat.
WeChat. Who's got WeChat? I should say who hasn't got WeChat. So someone said to me, oh, you don't need a business card now, Kate. You just have your WeChat. Well, yeah, that might be okay. But as I said, if someone pulls out a business card for you and you haven't got one and they don't know who you are or what your title is or how senior or junior you are, you're going to look a bit of a fool. So WeChat is really important. China is, everybody's on WeChat. I think 700, 800 million WeChat. Here in Australia, I think 800,000 people on WeChat. And WeChat is like an ecosystem. Everything is done on WeChat. So China has skipped credit cards. People don't use credit cards. Am I right? They don't. So they went from cash to paying for everything on your phone. So it's all on the phone. Even if you're a beggar in the street, it's all on the phone. So if you're engaged in anything to do with China, you need to be familiar with WeChat. And you can, if you don't know about it, come and see me and I'll show you what it is later on.
Or
So-
come and connect with you.
You can connect, absolutely, yeah. And so doing business with China, buying a house in China, getting your hair done, getting your pet groomed, it's all on the phone. Okay, yeah, you're nodding. That's right, isn't it, Frank?
Yeah, taxi, you know.
Taxis, yeah, you name it. So if you go to China without, it's hard for Australians because we can't have WeChat accounts connected. Well, I think it's coming connected to a bank account in China, so it's very difficult for us. We've got to pull the cash out or a credit card and they don't want it. You go to the restaurant and it's all on, there's no waiters anymore, it's all on WeChat. So it's a whole ecosystem, so you need to be on there. I think probably my 5 minutes is up, so I think we'll talk about a bit more about the behaviours. I'm sure there'll be some questions from the audience about some of the words like, guanxi, relationships, face, about the language, communication. So I hope there's some of the questions that you're going to ask, and we'll perhaps leave that to the panel session if that's okay, Shana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.